Now I'll talk about class and CDA research. Here I'll just try to explain and anticipate how much research has been done in critical discourse analysis sphere based on class division in a society, and what trends are mostly followed when we conduct research in CDA. As I said earlier, based on class divisions in any society of the world. Unfortunately, there has not been much research uh, in the initial days of critical discourse analysis based on class, though class was very closer to other themes which were popular in critical discourse studies those days. Those days, for example, there were a lot of studies on ideological divisions in a society or identity issues. Then we had studies even based on race and color and its division in a society. But surprisingly enough, there were not much studies based on class which were afflicting the societies more deeply. But recently, this has got a lot of currency because researchers across the world have realized that class is one of the most afflicting elements in the emerging world societies, where the division between haves and have-nots, not only on individual level but also on international level, is increasing every day. And you cannot deny that we are by every passing day we are having a large range of have-nots being added to the previous tally of have-nots. So in this situation, the division based on class has become an important theme not only in uh, critical discourse studies but also in other similar studies, for example, political science or sociology. In the emerging body of literature, we can say that there has been a talks about how public talks, public declarations, media talks, or public policy talks can actually influence class division in a society. In other words, how do they perpetuate some kind of class and class relations in a society? And this is very interesting theme because apparently we assume that this kind of public policy talk or declaration would reduce class-based division in a society, and they also claim so. Politicians, when declaring such public policies, would always argue that it would be in the larger interest of the society and all individuals included in the society. It would decrease all kinds of division in the society. But in fact, when we just look at the hidden intentions of these policies or the actual effects of these policies, the situation proves to be the otherwise, because their impacts prove to be counterproductive, and they increase class division instead of decreasing it. In this regard, we can say there have been many studies. For example, Turgeon's study along with Taylor and Niehaus in 2014 provided a good example how public policy talk can construct class and class relations, and because they saw how public welfare to work program managers in United States talk about welfare recipients using what they call class talk. So such kind of initiatives, instead of decreasing, rather increased class talk. And what is class talk? Class talk is which actually, through various forms of discourses, perpetuate a talk about class division in a society, and usually in a way uh, which enhances the distribution in a society based on some kind of class. They invoke a culture of poverty, ideology, and ignores structural conditions and causes of poverty. They would keep on talking about poverty, its increasing situation in a society, but would hardly touch about the causes, or would hardly try to address those causes. That's why this may be seen as some kind of shallow talk, which, instead of addressing the problem, increases it. Similarly, media shows, media talks also enhances this. In this regard, we can give example of a very popular Swedish show which may be named as Ullared. This show was based on involving middle class or lower middle class people into some kind of activities, and then giving them some prizes. But instead of appreciating them, it turned out to be a show which demonized and ridiculed the less successful people in a society, because the show was conducted in a way in which the people, instead of being appreciated, they were rather demonized. There were two key constructs to help Eriksson understand how Ullared positions working class people as unworthy. And this can be explained by the notion of inscription, in which some kind of things are labeled on human body. And in the case of this program, it was driven by Eriksson that some kind of unworthiness was inscripted on the bodies or on the images of the people participating in that show. Another similar concept of middle class gaze can also be used to understand what was done in this program. And by this middle class gaze looks at the lower classes as something which is again of lesser value. So that's another kind of inscription, you can say. So these shows or policy talks, instead of reducing poverty or class division in a society, can in many situations enhance them. So a critical discourse analyst should have a closer eye on such developments.